Hi there, everyone. How are my Tuesday people? Welcome to Threads Devotional, and we named this Threads because we are like a tapestry, and we're constantly weaving parts of our lives together. Um, Today, we are going to address something that's probably it's just hard, okay? I'm just going to put it out there. It's hard. It's hard for me, and I know it's hard for others. But today, we're going to talk a little more personal than in the past. Maybe we're going to talk kind of gut level. But we're going to try and address the subject of constantly looking backwards. And that's just a problem for a lot of people. There are so many quotes and memes that I see on social media about putting the past behind us. And I read it and I go, oh, those words sound wonderful. They're nice. I'm going to remember that. But the struggle is still there and the struggle is still real. So, my disclaimer today, y'all know I have a disclaimer all the time. My disclaimer today is that I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor, but I am a Christian and I have grown in a lot of areas, and that's what I'm sharing with you guys through Threads. So, and also, let me add this. I hadn't thought about this, but another disclaimer is we're not talking about remembering wonderful, precious, sweet memories. That's not where we are. We're talking about constantly living on the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, all that kind of stuff, that the more negative side of things. I have a theory of my own, and I think the key might be in how we look at the past. I hear people say, well, somebody, so and so needs to just get over that. Or I hear, they need to just move on. And that may be true. That may be very true, but I'm going to suggest, in my very most humble opinion, that instead of getting over or moving on, whether we're referring to ourselves or others, that we redirect our thinking to how can I grow through this, or how can I learn from this, how can I grow beyond this, okay? So that's where we're going to be today. There are many things in life that we need to grow beyond, and your list is going to be way different from mine, and mine is very not uh, complete. This is just what came to my mind immediately, and after the fourth one, I stopped. I said, okay, this is it. Got to stop here. So, the first thing that I think gives us trouble is past mistakes and guilt. Guilt rides on our back like that proverbial monkey, and good people make bad choices, y'all. There was one perfect person, and his name was Jesus. Um, we don't set out, I don't think anybody sets out to make bad mistakes or sin intentionally or make bad decisions, but it happens because we're human beings on the face of this earth. And so then we get into this, I knew better. I knew better. And we let the guilt stay on us. And look, I'm telling you, I know how many times I have reminded God that we forgave me for something. Have y'all done that? Has anybody else done that? Remember, God, we're not talking about this because we forgave me. And he's going, because he's God. And when I asked for forgiveness, he wiped it out. He's going, Linda, my child, I don't know what you're talking about. But you see, I can't forget, and I haven't learned how to grow through it, and I'm carrying it around like a ball and chain. So, yes, we have to deal with our past mistakes and sins and the guilt that may have come from that. Did we ask God for forgiveness? Yeah. If our mistake hurt others, did we apologize to them? Probably so. Probably so. In the words of my husband, did you learn what not to do? Oh, yeah. Big time. Learned exactly what not to do. So then, focus on the future, because you know what? There is going to be a person whom you can help because of your own experience. So rather than carry the guilt around, accept God's forgiveness, forgive yourself, which we've talked about and it's critical, and grow beyond this. Grow through it so that when you know somebody else is dealing with it, you can go to them, and instead of saying, you got to get over this, you can say, look, I've been there. It's tough, but I can help you grow through this. This is not your life. This was a one-time mistake, okay? I might have to speed up or we're going to be way too far over. Another thing that we have to grow beyond is hurt feelings, and we've talked about this a lot in our Tuesday Devos. We get our feelings hurt and we just can't get over it. So here's what I'm going to suggest. When your feelings were hurt, when my feelings were hurt, what was going on? What was going on in that other person's life? Because it may very well be that they were struggling. They didn't set out to hurt my feelings. I know the times I've hurt people's feelings, I didn't set out to hurt somebody's feelings. I was struggling with some things of my own, and as wrong as it was, I hurt somebody's feelings. So rather than carry it around like this heavy burden, let's grow through it. Okay, I understand this was a difficult time. You were going through a very tough time, and we don't even have to address it with that person, y'all. But many times we can talk it out with them. But the most important thing is to sit back and see, where was this person when my feelings were hurt? What are they struggling with? There are people who are they hurt others. They just hurt others. And whether it's intentional or not, I think it's because in their mind, that's how they put themselves better than everybody else. They're struggling with their own identity, if you will. They're not comfortable in their own skin. So let us think back, what was going on when my feelings were hurt? Forgive, accept what happened, and if possible, continue a friendship with that person. But at some point, we grow beyond focusing on the hurt feelings, and we learned how we handled the hurt. And again, somebody else is going, well, I'm just going to X them out of my life because they hurt my feelings. Okay, I've been there. I know what you're talking about. Let's sit down and talk about this, because we don't want to X people out of our lives. We don't want to block people out when we need them. Okay? Let's find how we can keep our friends. How can we grow through this? What's going on in their life and what's going on in your life that created this? We just learn to look at it differently, how to handle it differently, how to grow through it. And then in time, who knows, you may be helping other people deal with their hurt feelings. Another thing that came to my mind immediately is how hurt we are when when trust is betrayed. That happens. And this goes beyond hurt feelings and holding a grudge and that kind of stuff. When someone we trust betrays that trust, it rips us apart. It's like the kick in the gut. It's that thing that just takes your breath away. And it is painful. And there are different ways that trust is betrayed. It may be something like they shared something that you asked to keep private. It can be any number of things. It's hard to trust again. It's hard to trust again when we've had that kick in the heart, take my breath away kind of pain. But it doesn't mean that we have to lose that friend forever. Maybe that person is someone who is vital to us. And we sit down and we talk about it. And we say, that hurt me to the core of my being. And they probably will say, I know, and I am so sorry. And that's when we learn that we can forgive each other just like God forgives us. Now, you get to decide. Is this person important enough to you to renew, to have this? Or do you talk about how much you're hurt and say, I don't know that we can ever be the same? Address it, deal with it. Oh, I said deal with it, didn't I? Grow through it. See, I'm learning. I'm telling y'all, I told y'all 3 years ago when we started these, I'm sharing with y'all things that I'm learning. So no, we're not going to deal with it. We're going to grow through it. And if possible, maybe that friendship, relationship, whatever, will grow to be better than ever. Now, the other thing that immediately came to my mind, and this is very personal and very hard for me to talk about, so bear with me. But it's the death of a loved one, how we cope with our grief. And this is probably one of the most difficult that we learn to grow through. Y'all, at the articles and books and guidelines and quotes and things to help us cope with losing someone we love. But learning to cope and learning to grieve does not mean we want to forget that person or their significance in their life. In fact, for me personally, it's learning how to keep that person and not focus on the loss. I've told y'all that I can only speak from what I know personally. But after her Christy died last July, I wanted to learn to cope so I could focus on enjoying all the precious, enjoyable memories that we have. I have not stopped missing her. I have not stopped missing our conversations. I have not stopped grieving. I'll never stop grieving. But I have learned to be thankful for her life. I have learned to be thankful for the influence that she had on those around her. I am thankful that she taught her family the importance of loving each other and being united together, even during difficult times. I've grown in my grief to the point that I really feel now that instead of hanging on to how sad I am, I've learned how to encourage others. I've made choices and mistakes that I knew were not good until I learned how to grow and not focus on the I knew better, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I was constantly reminding God that we've forgiven me. I've had my feelings hurt and then realized that the person was having a really bad day or a really bad time. That does not excuse hurtful behavior. But haven't we all been there? I think so, probably. Haven't we said something when we were irritated or mad or hurt that should have been left unsaid? Probably so. I know what it's like to have been betrayed, and it's such a painful gut level feeling. My special friend and I were able to work through our issue, and I like to think we've grown through it. Here's what I want to leave with you. If you remember, before Paul was Paul the Apostle, he was Saul. And he was trying to do, as a devout Jew, he was trying to do the right thing in his power to stop all these followers of this heretic Jesus. He didn't believe Jesus was the Messiah. He didn't believe he was the Son of God. He went in homes, he pulled Christians out, he ravaged them. And in his letter to the Philippians, in Philippians 3:12-14, he says, "Not that I have already obtained this or am already perfect, but I press on to make it my own because Christ Jesus made me his own." Listen to this, brothers. "I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward, I press on to the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." Paul was saying, I can't look backward. I can't live there. I did it. It happened. But I can't live there. So let's understand that when we stop focusing on the mistakes, guilt, and hurt, then we're growing. It does not make light of what happened. It does not devalidate our feelings or our loss. But it's important for God's people to learn to live in the present. Listen, when we grow beyond, we can help others grow beyond their difficult times. Instead of buck up and move on, we can say, I've struggled too. Let me help you grow through this. As God's people, let's focus on growing. It's time to live in the present so that we can be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, and the sweet aroma of Jesus. I love you guys, and I love our Tuesday time together. See you next week.